So check this out, okay? I've got these Denny Frary autographed photos, and they are worth like a gajillion dollars at this point. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, I could put these up on eBay or whatever at any point, and like, basically, like, my retirement is covered. So, thank you, Mr. Frary, for signing these for me. I mean, look at this. He wrote these like general messages, like best wishes, good luck, Denny Frary, TV9, and he didn't even like make them out to a specific person. And that's when that's when you can sell them, because if they're made out to a certain person, then that reduces their value a lot. But since these weren't made out to anyone, these are like from like, I think like probably the late 90s. I have a history, as you know, of producing KCRG fan fiction.
Yeah.
Because you remember, you and I, during the weather radio video, we talked about how Joe Winters should grow a beard the last year of his retirement, and like never talk about it, just stop shaving and just let it grow and grow and grow until like after a year it's just down to like his belly button.
Yeah.
And like if somebody tries to draw attention to it, he just changes the subject, like, oh, the weekend's looking pretty good, blah, 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 blah. Highs are going to be in the blah blah blah. But so I write this fan fiction, but I'm a fan specifically of 90s era KCRG, because I feel like that was the golden age.
Yeah.
The 90s, maybe the late 80s into the 90s. The end of the golden age was when they hired Beth Malicki. And that's why I'm not a fan of KCRG anymore. She's one of the most annoying people on television. Like, just the way she emphasizes words, and her facial expressions, and just
all the meltdown she's had,
disingenuousness. Yeah, I don't know about any. I haven't heard of any meltdown.
Oh yeah. During the flood of 08, she was like totally losing her shit. She was on for like 36 hours straight.
Yeah, I actually saw some early footage of her where she acted somewhat professional, like when she first got hired. But pretty quickly she started loosening up and like trying to do so much awkward banter and stuff like that, and it just comes off as I don't like it at all. Yeah. But I love the early days with Denny Frary. Joe Winters is like the last. Now that Bruce Downey is gone, Joe Winters is like the last of that great generation of KCRG, and he's the only one left. But Denny Frary was his mentor. Denny Frary was the guy that he took over from. He's basically like his daddy.
Yeah.
It's like his professional daddy.
His weather daddy.
His weather daddy. They may not be related by blood, but if there were any justice in this world, his real name would be Joe Frary.
Oh.
Because that's how deep that bond runs.
Well, Denny started in the 70s. I read something that Denny Frary started back in like.
I see old footage of him where he's got like brown hair and stuff.
Yeah.
He has one of the most respectable comb overs I've ever seen in this picture.
Yeah.
Like that's a comb over that you can trust. You can look at this man in his eyes. You see that smile and everything. This is a man who can tell you what is going to happen tomorrow with the weather.
Yeah.
He may not be able to tell you who's going to win the next election, but he'll tell you how much it's going to rain, how much it's going to snow, whether the wind is going to blow your wig off. He's going to tell you all of that. But anyway, I came up with a piece of fan fiction about Denny Frary, and I call it The Ballad of Scary Frary.
Oh.
And I want to emphasize that none of this is true. This is all made up by me. It's a legend. I mean, it might be true, but if it is true, it's purely coincidental because I came up with it in my mind. It's only real in my mind, as far as I know. Oh, by the way, I just noticed his tie. That's pretty cool. Like it's all like circles and squares. Like I like art that's based in geometric shapes like that. I wish the photo was in color so we could see what colors he's wearing there. But okay, so legend has it that according to me in my twisted brain, that Denny Frary was a real asshole. Like he was a real bully around the studio. Like he liked to throw his weight around. He was like a big mean villain in a western.
Wow.
Like he'd like hitch up his pants and saunter around, and just like people just shook in fear when he like came into the room. And One day, Bruce Downey made the terrible mistake of saying something that pissed him off. Denny Frary walked over to the news desk. He picked Bruce Downey up by his lapels. He dragged him across the news desk, and he got him into a fucking headlock, okay?
Wow.
Got him right into that headlock. Bruce Downey is like screaming and crying, begging for his life, messing his pants. Renee Chu is in the corner screaming and crying. Trying, like, fumbling with her phone, trying to call the police, but she can't do it because she's so frightened. Yeah. And he made Bruce Downey apologize, and he did it. Bruce apologized. But here's the worst part. He was back on in 15 seconds, so he couldn't even go into the bathroom and change. He had to go right back and sit down.
Wow.
Yep.
He'd go shit in his pants.
Yep. And like, didn't they say that, like, sometimes he would wear, like, boxers? He wouldn't even wear pants underneath the desk, just boxers or his
Bruce?
Yeah, like boxers or sweatpants or something.
Wow.
Like under the desk, yeah.
Huh.
That's what I've heard anyway. Again, just what I've heard. But, yep, he was back on in 15, so he didn't even have time. He had to sit right back down in his own filth. But anyway, that is the true reason why Bruce Downey shaved his mustache. Most people think that it was because of the Anchorman. It was actually because he had to disassociate from himself.
Wow.
Because he was so traumatized by that event, his therapist recommended to him, look, you need to reinvent yourself. You're never going to get past this until you make a change. And that change was shaving his mustache. And so that's where that came from.
Huh.
Yeah.
So.
And they all lived happily ever after. The end. Yeah, so not very many people make fan fiction about news stations, like local news stations, but I do, and it's a lot of fun. And I feel like it's important to our society to have like myths and legends, you know. Like these guys are like didn't we talk about them as being like the pantheon? Yeah. Like especially the weather team, like they're the pantheon of, they're the gods and goddesses of Iowa weather. Like Joe Winters is the god of snow and winter because he loves snow. Which is something I've always appreciated about him because I love snow too, and I get pissed off when like Beth Malicki or one of the news anchors no snow, Iowa, I hate Iowa. But Joe Winters, he has a very stoic attitude about it. I really respect that. And Denny Frary, he's retired now, out of state, I believe.
Illinois. Yeah,
Illinois or Wisconsin. I heard probably Illinois. You're probably right about that. And I wish him a very happy retirement. If you happen to see this video, please take this as a show of respect. Because that's what it is. We're just having fun here. We're not...
He retired like 15 years ago.
It's been a while. I know, yeah. I wondered, actually, I asked my mom if she thought he was even still alive. But apparently he is. But yeah, if you see this video, Denny Frary, we actually do have a lot of respect for you. This was all made in good fun. Yeah. And
well, they had a weather chopper back in the 80s and 90s, too.
Oh, yeah. Radcliffe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that.
Bobby Radcliffe. That was fucking cool.
That was back...
just drones. That was like...
Yeah, that was back when you wanted aerial footage. You had to go up into the sky like a fucking man and take those... You couldn't just fly your little toy up in the air and take photos and like avoid risking your life. You had to risk life and limb and to chase tornadoes. And like that one time he chased a tornado in Iowa City, and Denny Frary or Joe, I think it was Denny Frary was like cautioning him to stay. He's like to not get too close because like the man was a badass. He was a daredevil.
He was like a Vietnam vet. Like pilot or whatever, he's like, He was
about to fly right into that thing, so... It's a good day to die.
He's like, I'll live stream this shit. I don't care.
Yeah.
He's like,
his last words were, I love you, Renee Chu.
And it was cool. Another thing with KCRG, the acronym. It stands for K because it's west of the Mississippi. Anything east of the Mississippi is a W for a call letter. And KCR is Cedar Rapids. And then the G portion is the Gazette. And the Gazette founded KCRG in 1953. And they owned it up until a couple of years ago. They sold one station, KCRG, for $100 million.
Dun, 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 dun. That's been their jingle for as long as I can remember. Yeah. I think even before I was born. And what was the one last thing I was going to say? You know that in Detroit there's a TV station called WXYZ?
That's cool.
Yeah. I found that out from Steve Leto, who is a fellow YouTuber. He's obviously much more successful than I am, but he's a lawyer in Michigan, and he's also a radio DJ, but he switched over to like podcasts and YouTube. But he was like a radio DJ back in the day, and he's also a lawyer, and he does a lot of interesting topics about like the law, particularly like in relation to cars, like lemon law. But he'll also like branch into other subjects like legal questions that people ask, like about the police and things like that. So if you have a free moment, check out Steve Leto. I found him pretty entertaining. He's like this older guy, like about 60 years old, blonde, and he's had this podcast / YouTube channel series for a long time. And if you're into legal stuff, he's pretty interesting. Although of course he's only licensed in Michigan, but he does like talking. He does like branch into like larger subjects. But all right, well, Denny Frary, we love you. Hope you're enjoying your retirement. Beth Malicki, not a fan of you, sorry. Joe Winters, you're great. Grow that beard, man, please. Show us your stuff. And all right, KCRG forever, I guess.